Good evening. I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News and Tuesday News Day and all that. Before I bring the news, I'm gonna check that my streams are up. Of course, no point in streaming if the streams don't work. So let's see. Kick and Twitch are working. How about how is Rumble? It's not rumbling yet. Yes, okay, now it is. How about Party? Party, are we on? Live, it says live. That's usually good, right? Okay, so we are up and running. So let's go to the first news story of the day, of the week, rather. So the new Pope was elected or selected last week, and it's the first American. Well, not American, Bergoglio or Francis was American because he was from South America, but the first United Statesian Pope was elected, and it's this guy, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. So he's also Francis. Coincidence. And he took on the name Leo the 14th, and I know that some traditional Catholics weren't happy that he took on the name because he supposedly at least is expected to sort of following Francis's footsteps in going to a liberal direction, and supposedly many Leo popes have been really badass conservatives or traditionalists in the history. So at least some found it insulting that he took this name, or at least concerning. But hey, maybe it means he's secretly based because on the other hand, like the let's say that from the lefty side is some people have been concerned that he's not LGBTQ BBQ friendly enough. But of course, we don't really know what he's truly intending to do. So I guess it's prudent to wait and see. But just don't hold your breath. And okay, but here's some criticism against him. Pope Leo XIV looked the other way when confronted with child sex abuse allegations against priest in his Chicago church. Okay, uh-huh. And here it says this guy. What's this guy? E. Soprano, 1933. I wonder what he's referring to. He said, "I don't think he's our guy." Leo the 14th, first American Pope, studied under a leader in Jewish Catholic relations. Frater John P. Pawlikowski describes his former student as a very open-minded person. Cardinal Robert Prevost, who was just elected as Pope Leo XIV, studied under a pioneer in Jewish Catholic relations when he attended a seminary in Chicago. So the Reverend John P. Pawlikowski, who taught for nearly half a century at the Catholic Theological Union until his retirement in 2017, served as co-founder and director of the school's Catholic Jewish Studies program. Also served 4 terms on the board of U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. More than 40 years after Leo's ordination as a priest, Pawlikowski remembers the new pope as a good student with an open mind. Okay. But this was an interesting story. So this F. Gardner guy, he's an author who is, I guess, known on 4chan and stuff. I've never read any of his books, but I've heard about the guy, and it's like maybe I should get around to reading some of his books at some point, but don't know if I ever will. But anyways, he says that he's saying he wrote a horror novel about a guy from Chicago getting elected first American Pope. He's the villain in the book, rumored to be Peter the Roman, the final pope. My book is on Amazon, published several years ago. So the horror novel is Call of the Cherokee. So yeah, I'm not gonna read all this stuff, but it's interesting. Like if he sort of predicted, or let's just call it a interesting coincidence. because Robert Prevost is from Chicago, and this is also interesting coincidence that, like, of course the nose here with on Palpatine is bit sharper. His nose looks like it's been tongue, like somebody booped his nose or something. But yeah, have you ever heard the story of Saint Plagueis the Wise? It's a story the Protestants won't tell. I don't know, but hey, back in the day when Ratzinger or Benedict was Pope, there were plenty of memes comparing him to the Emperor as well. So maybe it's just, maybe the Emperor from Star Wars was inspired by popes in general. And here is so David Icke saying, pity that God didn't tell new Pope Robert Provost that COVID was a hoax and the jab was a bioweapon. I guess he must have forgot. So yeah, Pope Francis and six. This is from 2021. Pope Francis and six cardinals and archbishops from North and South America, including blah blah blah, say it's an act of love to get a COVID-19 vaccine in a PSA from Ad Council. And okay, and Robert Provost reposted it that may God grant us the grace to face COVID-19 with the strength of faith, ensuring that vaccines are available for all so that we can all get immunized. So, yeah, I do consider this sort of a test. Like, if you're supposed to be, some sort of spiritual person, spiritual leader or something, and you were, pushing for these jabs, I don't I can't take it seriously. Like there's one thing, speaking against them, saying that they, if you, whether you said they were harmful, you shouldn't take them. That's one thing. But like if you were pushing for them, I do question your religious discernment or spiritual discernment. And here's some article saying, is Pope forward some Jewish magazine, is Pope Leo Jewish, asks his distant cousins like me. So I think it's just, he has very distant cousins who are Jewish, so it's like whatever, not big deal. But I just happened to see it. So anyways, but yeah, I'm not expecting the Pope to be like, I'm an agnostic asterisk, or like a theistic agnostic or something, but I'm not Catholic. But still, I do care. I wish for the Pope to be somebody who actually cares about the, let's say, Christian dogma that Francis perhaps didn't care so much about in certain issues. So I wish the Pope to be a, proper conservative Christian, and we'll see if whether he is. I'm a bit skeptical, but we will see. But let's move on to the next story. So Pakistan won, question mark, the conflict between Pakistan and India, because now there's a ceasefire apparently, and it lasted like 3 or 4 days, I guess. So yeah, because here the Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif declares victory over India. So no, I don't really want to watch the whole 6 minute video or anything, but it's like, okay, I guess you can declare whatever if the conflict is over. And yeah, here Trump announced a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. So I guess he was participating in it, and yeah, it's May the 10th, so that's like 3 days ago basically. And after a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I'm pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay. Of course, it's possible that tensions flare up again soon or not so soon or whatever. So yeah, this conflict. So yeah, it's just from the 7th of May to 10th of May. So 4 days this conflict, and there were some casualties and stuff. But I guess this is interesting. So Following, so the ceasefire was agreed after hotline communication between both the DGMOs, whatever those are, like dildo GMOs, and talk set for 12 May. So I guess they have happened already, the talks. So following the deadline, both countries accused each other of violating ceasefire agreement. I wonder. It's like, of course you shouldn't wish for loss of life or anything, but it's, sort of was hoping to see a proper war or something. But yeah, I guess it's good probably if the conflict is over. But here, former British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak declares his support for India. And that was, of course, while the conflict was still going on. And Bushwhacker asks, did he allude to any specific reason as to why? Yeah, why would he choose India, not Pakistan? Like, I wonder if there's any, like, particular reason. Like, maybe these, ethnicities mean more than they tell us in the mainstream media. Let's say, like, maybe. I wonder which country this guy cares more about, UK or India. And here is, but US Vice President Vance says India versus Pakistan conflict fundamentally none of our business. Well, of course, it's good for him to say that, and because, mute in laws because his, wife is Indian. So, it is good that he's, at least acted like he didn't take a side. And of course, it was, if America had something to do with the ceasefire, then it was some of their business. But of course, it's good they didn't take any sides, at least not so openly. Oops, is there still something, or is it? Ah, yeah, and there's this. Pakistan has recovered debris from Indian drones, linking them back to Israel. So yeah, here is some manufacturing information, I guess, about the drones. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if Israel is like a, just a regular manufacturer of drones that, militaries from various countries use their drones, or is it just, certain privileged nations are allowed to use them, or what? I guess it sort of tells us which um, side they were on, presumably. All right, but that's about the conflict. So so far it seems to be over between India and Pakistan, and at least according to Pakistan, Pakistan won. So I'm gonna take their word for it, even though I don't even know all the details and stuff like what do they base the claim on. But sure, Pakistan won. Okay, but Spain fines you for withdrawing money. Of course, that statement is a bit simplified. So let's have a look. So Spain to slap 150k euro, 150 euro fine. I don't know. It messes with my brain when they put the money sign in the beginning. Doesn't make sense because you say 150 euros or something. So why is it here? I know that's the common way of doing it in English, but I never really, it's never sat well with me. But whatever. So they're gonna fine any citizen who doesn't give 24 hours notice before withdrawing over 3,000 euros in cash. If you need permission to touch your own money, it's not yours. So yeah, it's so they just have to tell them. Does it mean that, like, the Spanish government and their banks are so bankrupt that they have to know in advance that if you're gonna withdraw big amounts of money, or is it just because the Big Brother state likes to spy on you, or like is, let's say you're gonna tell the government, I'm gonna withdraw 5,000 euros tomorrow, Can they say no? You can't. We don't give you the permission. But I guess then you should, if you want to withdraw lots of money, you should keep withdrawing like 2,990 euros every day or something until you have all the money. So yeah, if you wish to withdraw more than 3,000 euros in cash, you must notify the tax agency at least 24 hours in advance of the withdrawal. You must also specify the purpose of the withdrawal. Yeah, failure to comply with this requirement may result in fines of up to 150,000 euros. That's crazy. Like you withdraw, you quickly need money to, I don't know, buy a new car or something. You were supposed to go on some trip and then your car breaks down and you can't fix it or anything. And it's like, okay, let's just buy a car, or 3,000 bucks some used car, and then the government's like, pay us 150K. It's crazy. But this reminds me of like when I was in Japan, like an exchange student, and I had the Japanese bank, and sometimes I would wire money from my Finnish account to my Japanese account, and then the bank would call me and then ask me, what is the money for? And I was like, what am I supposed to say? But apparently you could just say it's for living expenses basically, and which is. And I remember some other students joking like, well, we should tell them it's for drugs or something. It's like, it's ridiculous. I should it like only this sort of stuff I can accept if it's like for some sort of security reasons, like if there's suspicious withdrawals, it might mean that somebody has hacked your account. That makes sense, but this, I don't think that's for that reason. This is just because you're basically slaves. But if you say you're a slave, then you're a racist, bigot, anti-Semite conspiracy theorist, right? Let's move on. So yeah, now we go to UK, and Keir Starmer is turning into Keir Stormer because he's becoming Nazi. So, okay, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer calls for the UK to take back its borders, says the UK is becoming an island of strangers and immigrants should learn how to speak English. Wow. Without strict rules, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. So when you have an immigration system that seems almost designed to permit abuse, then you are not a championing growth, you are not championing justice, or however else people defend the status quo. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart. So yes, I believe in this. I believe we need to reduce immigration significantly. Like because this guy has been very Orwellian and promoting the usual leftist crap as far as I can tell, and this seems like a complete 180. But of course, I don't believe his sincerity is. I guess it's more like saying stuff to try to sound relevant, so people wouldn't really start erecting barricades and guillotines and stuff like that. Um, that's probably it, but I guess it's like a distraction. Like maybe he's gonna do some very cosmetic policies to cosmetically reduce immigration or something like that, just so he can, like, he can do that with one hand, and with the other hand in secret he's gonna promote whatever same agendas he'd been doing before. That's my take on it. But I guess it's still a positive sign that at least, like, if these politicians are forced to at least act like they sort of agree with you, so it sort of represents that the sentiment is changing. Oh yes, who remember who did this to you, white man? Let's listen to this. I didn't even notice this was here before.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
So she's of
I
course
think there's a
Barbara Lerner Spectre or something, her name, and I wonder what she meant by that. That Jews will be, part of this transformation and be resented for it. So there, and this is an old clip. Hopefully you've seen it before, but if in case you haven't, now you have. So yeah, interesting. So that's why it's turning into storm, or he's going against the Jews because he's gonna start wearing a red armband and stuff. Anyways, well, maybe not, because UK police have arrested 9 for celebrating Hitler's birthday with a cake at a pub in Oldham. So this is like, where's the crime? Like, I can understand if people think it's insensitive or whatever, but like, how is this a crime? Does UK law say that thou must not celebrate Hitler's birthday? This is, and just to juxtapose it with all the quote unquote grooming gangs that have plagued UK for decades, and who knows how many different cities have had the problem, or like the elites, the royal family, like what's this Jim will fix it, what's his name, the guy who died like a decade ago, who was with BBC, and after he died it came out pretty quickly that he'd been a pedo and into all sorts of stuff. I don't remember his last name, but Jim will fix it, that guy, or like the was it Prince Andrew and his Epstein connections, and like all of that is fine, like no, but yeah, just don't make a cake, or like it reminds me of that time when Count Dankula, he almost had to go to prison because he taught his dog to do Nazi salute, the Roman salute. And that was, of course, just a joke. But even if it was, like, it's ridiculous if it's illegal to do it. Like, you can disagree with them, you can, label them whatever, but that there's, difference between disagreeing with what they do and just, criminalizing it. Uh, yeah. And yeah, speaking of that sort of stuff, let's go to the next story. So yeah, Ye's Hitler song, or Kanye West, as but he's known by us mortals, but he prefers Ye. So of course his song has gone viral and being censored at the same time, and all that stuff. So yeah, Kanye's Heil Hitler song goes viral and the internet can't keep up. Kanye West, Ye, released track titled Heil Hitler, glorifying the Nazi leader, and it's already racked up to 8.2 million views on X. Streaming platforms like Spotify and SoundCloud tried to pull it, but users quickly re-uploaded it in remixes and podcasts. NBC found 27 alternate versions on SoundCloud. The ADL is demanding a crackdown, but Ye has already moved the track to a fringe music app called Scribe, where it's trending. Oh, I've never heard of this app before. Is it like a honeypot? Because this is from New York Post. The question now: can the internet stop hate once it goes viral? But is it hate? Isn't, like, he promoting a positive message of, you know I don't know. Like, I listened to the song, and I thought it was like crappy. Like, I've never liked Kanye West's music. I think he's an interesting character, and I like him as a, his whole life is more like some, weird art piece. Didn't like the music, but okay, I guess the like the chorus or whatever is sort of memorable or something. But and of course, like, this song isn't just about, because the basic the punchline, whatever, it's the they're saying Heil Hitler Niagara, basically. So it's funny, juxtaposing these two concepts that are both considered offensive and stuff. And of course, he talks about like his they, whoever they are, taking away his kids, even though he's rich and famous, and he still can't see his kids. So it makes sense that he's blaming people for it, whether whoever they are who took away his kids. But yeah, like musically speaking, I don't like the song, but like as a act of free speech, certainly I support it. And it's not terrible, but I don't like it. And yeah, YouTube is scrubbing uploads of Ye's summer anthem Heil Hitler from its platform. So yeah, this is like ridiculous because this song isn't particularly advocating for any kinds of action. And that's like this sort of there's different comments like this, but I will not highlight this one. So okay, all major streaming platforms have banned Hail Hitler by Yay. Meanwhile, songs about drugs, murder, blasphemy, Satanism, and suicide are acceptable. Doesn't that prove him right? Like exactly, like the rap music, like mainstream rap music, has been really awful, and also like the lyrics have been a very immoral, you could say, or promoting immorality, and that's fine. But when you talk about a certain guy, certain Austrian guy, then it's all. Especially like yeah, Satanism is supposedly cool nowadays because back in the day in the 90s when I was a teenager, if you wanted to be edgy, there were two basic things. Of course, you could be more creative and do something else, but two basic things was either to say Heil Hitler or Heil Satan. But nowadays, it's considered like the mainstream considers saying like Jesus is king or something is considered more controversial than saying Hail Satan. So now it's basically you only have Heil Hitler left for being edgy, and I do think it suggests something that the establishment, like they can allow you to believe whatever you want or to be whatever you wish, except for this one guy and this one ideology. Like that's the worst thing ever. Like whether it's right, left, or center, like they seem to really dislike the idea of anybody seeing this Austrian guy positively. And hey, I'm not any kind of true believer of National Socialism or anything, but like it's hard not to think that maybe there are like some aspects of it that were onto something because the current really immoral and corrupt establishment doesn't seem to like it. Okay, so yeah, there's I don't know somebody saying it censored. Just encountered a group of teen boys at the skate park singing Kanye's Heil Hitler song. One of them did a Nazi salute and the other started laughing. This is our culture now. America has completely normalized fascism. I can breathe, I can breathe. Like, this, this reads like a parody. I wonder, especially this I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Like, have to repeat it. It's probably a parody, right? Because if it's not, it's too depressing, like the implications. As predicted, the Streisand effect rises. The age of censorship is coming to an end. NHH is worldwide. All speech is free speech. Well, I guess. Well, no, it's still like um, most people, even if you are, allow people to say whatever offensive or seemingly offensive things, but like usually if the mafia don tells his underlings like okay that guy is an asshole go whack him, that's still considered not free speech if you actually are advocating a clear crime and stuff, but that's a tangent. And here Styx Hexenhammer 666 says Heil Hitler is the defining song of the entire generation lol. A black dude disenfranchised by the system says screw it and becomes a Nazi just to mock the system and ridicule them. Bravo. Yeah. It's like, at least the establishment keeps making this guy look better and better, like every month, basically. Because the establishment is just getting more retarded and evil and degenerate all the time, and like anything in contrast, like especially like that, it's undeniable that some of the problems, like mass immigration from third world countries into the west, probably wouldn't be a big issue had these guys won. And I'm not saying everything would be great, there certainly would have been many other problems arising, but it's just like contrasting to the problems we suffer from now, and also like the LGBTQ agenda. They weren't a fan of that either, so it is interesting to note that. And the fact that you can find Ye's new Heil Hitler singer anywhere should tell you everything you need to know. They make Ye's point for him. Yeah, I guess the point is that some people seem to have the power to censor you if you just make a song, and that song is not like saying like go rub out people of this or that kind or anything like that. Like it's the lyrics are still fairly mild, and I don't think there's any cursing or anything like that even. Like I've just listened to the one it once, so I don't remember the lyrics that well, but yeah, it is making a point. And so yeah, you can rap about how you love killing Niagaras, and it will get boosted and heavily promoted. Rap about Hitler and it's banned. Do you understand why Ye is radicalized? He watched them destroy his culture, then his life. Most people would accept defeat and fly to Auschwitz. Uh, oh yeah, and here is his song is visibility limited on Twitter. How is it violent speech exactly? Because maybe I'm wrong, since I can't say I've analyzed the song with great detail, but I don't think it explicitly says even that you know even praises the Austrian guy. Like it's just saying the chant, and perhaps you can interpret this that like, this is how people are losing their minds or something, like you could. That's probably not how it's meant to be interpreted. I think it's a possibility, but of course, certain people have decided Kanye is bad, and of course this the Austrian guy is bad. So then it has to be censored, and of course no discussion or anything, because that's how we roll. Okay, but that's basically about the Kanye's new song, Kanye song or Ye song. So yeah, I um like certainly I'm pro his free speech and stuff, and you questioning our holy cows, basically our unquestioned dogmas of society and all of that stuff. But I could still think could be better. Never like his auto tune singing and all that. I don't like it. But anyways, let's move on. So Israel delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed because of it's a cancer upon the earth, a parasite, and all that. And here we will see some reasons and related stuff. So Israel airstrikes completely destroyed Yemen's international airport. This was like almost a week ago. But it's yeah, like what did actually Yemen do to deserve that? I'm not clear about that. But there's very interesting. Let's. I'm gonna call these rumors. As far as I know, none of it has been verified yet. But like maybe Trump's stance on Israel is changing. So here it says a Gulf diplomatic source has stated that President Trump will soon issue a declaration regarding American recognition of Palestine. This comes amid strained relations between Trump and Netanyahu due to the Israeli Prime Minister's attempts to sabotage American nuclear negotiations with Iran. So it's good, I guess, if America recognizes Palestine as a nation. That's probably great news for the survival of Palestine and the people there. Like I'm very skeptical that this will happen, but we will see. And of course, some people are saying like if Trump really wants to do stuff like that, certain people will just try to off him. And yeah, here Syrian girl saying on Trump recognizing Palestine, Israel will kill Trump. Yeah, exactly like I said, Israel will kill Trump before they let him recognize Palestine. This is some type of a negotiations game. They want to revive the two-state solution and the Abraham Accords, both bad things. Yeah, it's probably some sort of negotiations game, like she puts it, some political maneuvering. From which side, I don't really know. Like if it's from the White House or pro-Palestine side or pro-Israel side, still not quite sure. And Trump aide Netanyahu is deceiving us, does not respect our agreements, and has no intention of advancing the agreements. That's probably true, but I don't know if Trump or his aides are really taking that seriously and treating him as a hostile parasite, as they should. But it is. I am very skeptical that Trump will turn on Israel, but one can hope. And yeah, here is breaking friendship between Trump. Friendship ended with Netanyahu now. Whoever Palestinian leader is still alive is my best friend. But anyways, the friendship between Trump and Netanyahu is over. Israeli army reports that President Trump has decided to cut contact with Netanyahu, stating that Netanyahu and his associates act arrogant and try to push around the president. Close associates of Trump told Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer that the president feels disrespected and manipulated by Netanyahu, and that there's nothing he hates more than appearing as easily manipulated in public. So, yeah, that's what some people claim, but I'm still very skeptical. But we will see, I guess. And after the information from the official Israeli army radio that Trump cut contact with Netanyahu, U.S. Secretary of Defense Hegseth also cancels his visit to Israel. Like also, this guy is supposedly Hegseth is very pro-Israel. That's my impression of him. But of course, if he cancels his visit to Israel, who knows? Whatever, what else it could be? It might be some other defense issues that required him to cancel his trip and may not have had anything to do with Israel and stuff like that. But one can hope that because if the U.S. government is really turning on Israel, then it's like the scary idea pops its head that was Q right all along, because Q, colloquially known as QAnon, said something like they're saving Israel for last, and if they're finally taking care of it. And for the record, I don't really find Q that credible, but in case something like this happens, then it's sort of like I wonder. Anyways, let's see what's going on. Yeah, WTF is going on. The New York Times, Thomas L. Friedman, don't know who it is, but sounds Jewish to me. So this Israeli government is not our ally. So it's just, change the Israeli government and would be better according to them. Well, we'll see. And yeah, this is the same news that US, Trump to announce US recognition of Palestinian state. but it's still a rumor as far as I'm concerned. Oh yeah, and even the Pope Leo called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Well, that's good, especially if it happens. So that's something good for him. At least he didn't say that, wipe out Palestine for chosen people, because he said something like, Christians are the chosen people of God or something, which is something that, a Pope probably should say. And even Ron Paul pitches in. The Israeli government has announced that it plans to remove what is left of the Palestinian presence in Gaza and with it demolish what buildings remain. US backing for the project is essential to its success. Also today, Congress still determined to throw you into jail if you boycott Israel. Yeah, I think I talked about that last week. The insane idea that in the United States, in some states, it's illegal to boycott Israel. It's completely ridiculous, and the only way I can interpret is, maybe I'm a simple-minded guy, but like the only way I can interpret this is to mean that it's U.S. is puppeted by Israelis or blackmailed by them to do their bidding, or the politicians are. Netanyahu and Israeli officials were blindsided after Trump announced that the U.S. would stop bombing the Houthis. Well, that's good if they stopped. Did they stop bombing them? At least I haven't heard them resuming the bombing in the past week, but I'm not sure. And then there's some unconfirmed report, Chinese intelligence report on the ouster of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. So this is, more rumors, but of different kind. A report published by Chinese intelligence reveals controversial details regarding the change of power in Syria to Abu Mohammed al-Jolani. The report confirms that what happened was the result of internal betrayal by senior Syrian army officials bribed with Qatari money. So here's the Qatari who are bribing everybody nowadays. Where's my Qatari money? Come on, man. Anyway, who played a key role in implementing a complex international regional plan. According to the report, on the night Aleppo fell, what's Aleppo? Officers of the Syrian Army's Central Command committed a serious crime of treason by isolating Iranian consultant Commander Bur Hashmi Haj Hashim in a conference room. Okay. After isolating the Iranian commander, these officers directly contacted Israeli Mossad, paving the way for a free sham front to advance and occupy the city in just 45 minutes without any resistance. Spread of betrayal. The betrayal was not limited to Aleppo. Other Syrian cities were similarly surrendered. Syrian officials also sent false coordinates to Hezbollah, which trapped it and led it to the destruction of a convoy of 100 vehicles belonging to Hezbollah following Israeli strikes. Concurrent with this event, the US Air Force targeted Iraqi popular militia forces near the Syrian border in coordination with Israeli operations, deceiving Bashar al-Assad. Despite Iranian warnings, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad remained unaware of the extent of the betrayal within his army. He was receiving false reports from his close agents who kept him isolated and ignorant of the situation on the ground. As sounds like, Trump's previous term, because some of the officials were keeping information from him too. As losses mounted, President Assad began to doubt the loyalty of his superiors. According to the report, the final plan was to hand him over directly to al-Nusra Front, the Democratic Liberation Authority. Aware of the imminent danger, President Bashar al-Assad sought direct assistance from the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The report indicates that this operation was planned and executed in coordination with several international intelligence agencies: the British intelligence service MI6, the Israeli Mossad, CIA, under the direct supervision of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, or Erdogan as some people say, but if it's G, why is it one? It doesn't make sense. 1 1. So yeah, these intelligence agencies at the top are basically the same organization as far as I can tell. Anyways, the coming days could reveal more details about this complex process, with combined internal betrayals and international collusion to should reshape the Syrian landscape according to the agendas of major regional powers, the Chinese report indicates. But of course, this is, uh, you know, it's a rumor, so take it with plenty of salt. But I like salt. And this is how we know we are in the bad timeline when Cenk Uyghur is starting to sound reasonable. Supporters of Israel like Ben Shapiro are mad at Trump taking a $400 million plane from Qatar because he's taking money from a foreign government. No, they loved it when he was taking it from Israeli citizens like Miriam Adelson. They're worried others are starting to outbribe them. So yeah, yes, I believe large campaign donations for corporations and people supporting foreign governments are legalized bribes. Yes, it applies evenly to all countries and all companies. You can say supporters of Israel are only ones doing it, and you can say they're not doing it. Yeah, it's like scary when Cenk Uyghur is like, I agree with him. And here is Enoch Powell saying, not the actual Enoch Powell. I think he's probably been dead for who knows how many decades. Anyways, I promise you this: as anti-Jewish sentiments continue to rise, you are going to see Jews and former fanatical Jew lovers suddenly side with the rising tide of anti-Jewish sentiment. You're going to see Jews start speaking out against all the evils Jews have done to white people. Why? Because those Jews and Jew lovers are going to try to gain and maintain influence over the pro-white community. Jews have no problem being anti-Jewish if it means Jews can control the anti-Jewish movement. Keep your eyes open for this in the near future. So that's just what he's saying, and yeah, here you see a bunch of Jews burning the Israeli flag. Like no connection to what the guy said. Well, he's quoting this guy, I guess. I think it's the same text. Um, Interesting take. I'm not gonna say more about that, except yeah, interesting. And yeah, the not directly Israel related, but like also the past week there was some story of somebody wrote "fuck the Jews" or something, and then some Jews on Twitter were up in arms, like, "Oh my God, it's the new H cost." But like here, this guy points out, if the punishment for holding a sign saying "fuck the Jews" is a trip to Auschwitz, where should we send the creator of this art? And this is "fuck white people." And yeah, this I remember several years ago when this quote unquote artist made this sort of stuff, and this is like normal. There's some they act like there's something wrong with you if you have a problem with this sort of messaging. But if you talk about Jews or blacks or other people like that, then it's horrible racist. But this is just freedom of expression. It's very curious double standard. And here is climate activist Greta Thunberg blamed Israel for a drone attack on a humanitarian aid ship bound for Gaza, which occurred in international waters near Malta, slamming them for violating international law and human rights. Thunberg has described Israel's campaign in Gaza as genocide. Well, yeah, see another bad timeline message when Greta Thunberg is sounding reasonable. Things are bad. And there's more Cenk as well. A supporter of Israel just started yelling me at me in the street. He was trying to bully me because I didn't agree that Israel should get to slaughter children. Where are my congressional hearings? Can we arrest and deport him? Of course not. That's only if you criticize Israel. Yeah. See, where are we heading? That Cenk is sounding reasonable. But let's move on to the next story. So there's more Epstein tapes or something supposedly that yeah, certain U.S. government officials are teasing. So AG Pam Bonding FBI Director Kash Patel announced over 200 child sex predators were arrested and 115 children rescued in Operation Restore Justice. Well, this is good if it actually happened and stuff. So I wonder if any of these arrested people are these predators. Are they just random freaks, or are they like people with some sort of institutional power, let's say? And here she says that. Let's see, can we hear her?
No, no, the FBI, yeah, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
So it would imply that these are some new videos that the FBI didn't have previously, or like, or maybe the FBI has had these videos for years, but they were just sitting on them until, I don't know, maybe since Trump got into office again, or what. I don't know how to interpret this. Like, of course, like I hope they are trying to figure out who made these videos. Like, I don't think it was Epstein alone. Probably had many, help, if what she's saying is true. And here Cenk Uyghur again is saying, where are the Epstein files? Of course they didn't release them. Of course they were lying about releasing them on day one. What's taking so long? They're very likely cleaning them right now, so you never know the truth. Kash Patel just claimed Epstein definitely hung himself. Yeah, like, does implicate the government, and that they still haven't done what they promised. Like, of course, if they are, sort of slowly arresting the people related to Epstein and all that stuff, and Pizzagate crap or whatever, then that's good. But to me, this sounds more like it's trying to placate people like Cenk Uyghur who are concerned with this issue. And James O'Keefe did a revelation on also from Pam Bondi. So AG Pam Bondi was covertly recorded on April 28th, revealing previously undisclosed information about Epstein regarding tens of thousands of videos of little kids to a complete stranger in a DC restaurant. Yesterday, the AG made an almost identical statement publicly after O'Keefe Media provided a quote of what she said in a request for comment.
Yesterday, Attorney
So
General
yeah,
of the United States
and a lot of people were like criticizing O'Keefe for this, which
acknowledged that
sounds
videos of
weird that they're insulting him and stuff. I guess because he's not targeting Democrats or anything like that. He's targeting our guys, quote unquote. But yeah, and so supposedly so he's some complete stranger, some nanny. He says who she revealed this information to. But it's sort of weird. Like, he doesn't. I presume the I guess the nanny or whoever she got the information was working for James O'Keefe undercover, but I guess she's not like an actual journalist, but she was sort of like a deputized journalist here. But yeah, it is maybe also from Keefe's side. It's sort of like he's missing some details, like what's actually going on. So I don't know. I don't want to get bogged down in the James O'Keefe tangent or derail it too much with that. It's interesting and weird and concerning. But anyway, here, so Senator John Kennedy here is asking, did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him? Cash Patel says, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center. Kennedy, are you going to release all the information about that before I die? But yeah, it's like, is Cash Patel dumb or just corrupt that he's claiming that Epstein killed himself? Because that's just ridiculous. and he was supposed to be the base guy, and lots of people were excited, like, yeah, Cash Patel. Like, I don't not so like happy about many of these other Trump picks, but yeah, Cash Patel is our guy. It's like, okay, what has he done that's actually relevant or good, and, or anything like that? But okay, that's the last regular, let's say, normies news. Then let's go to gaming and entertainment news. So yeah, the first is of course, this picture inspired by Stellar Blade, which is coming to PC finally. So it launched. Stellar Blade Complete Edition launches on PC and PS5 on June 11th, presumably this year. So it's just 1 month from now, basically. Um, okay, so PlayStation YouTube channel accidentally uploaded it early. They took it down from that YouTube channel, but someone grabbed the video before they did. I wonder if it's actual accident or maybe this is like some, ninja marketing or something. But yeah, it will have the PC version will have DLSS4 and FSR3. Don't really know what is. Unlocked frame rate, of course. Well, that's good. Ultrawide support, DualSense support with haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, fired connection required for those two features. Higher resolution textures. Not sure if this is going to come to PS5 version. And there's new content for this version compared to the existing version, includes new cosmetics, new boss, twin expansion pack, Nikke outfit. Yeah, finally I get to play. Well, I played Stellar Blade for like 5 minutes in a game store on a PlayStation 5. So I can say I've played it, but now finally I can, maybe I'll stream it 2 years from now or something when it's cheaper and stuff. Uh, Yeah, but then let's see. And then we go to Pal World, so like the Nintendo suing Pal World stuff. So apparently they have to um like had to remove some features from Pal World. And it's not like I really care that much about Pal World itself, but I care about, game developers. I wish they were allowed to, make games instead of being sued. But anyways, they have to remove the ability. Yeah, there's lots of text here. There's another one. Where is it? Okay, it's not here. But like the ability to glide. So like you could use pals, your Pokemon in Pal World. Basically, you could use them to glide or fly or something. And now they're removing the ability. Or are they changing? Okay, yeah, here it is. So from this patch onward, gliding will be performed using a glider rather than with pals. Pals in the player's team will still provide passive buffs to gliding, but players will now need to have a glider in their inventory in order to glide. So this is like like how the fuck does Nintendo own the notion that you can use, I don't know, creatures to fly in the game? Because like pretty sure in World of Warcraft you can fly with griffins, and I think you can get flying mounts and stuff later on. And like there's probably like, okay, Fire Emblem games from the early on, some of they have like a Pegasus rider. Doesn't that basically count? Like, you have somebody who sits on a flying horse. Like how the fuck does Nintendo have the right to do that? Like, this is ridiculous. Like I really think, Nintendo Nintendo the company has to be destroyed because it's harmful, for free expression and game, like actual gaming and all that stuff. So yeah, it's insane stuff. Okay, Doom: The Dark Ages. So I think it's now in like the early access version, not early access in the sense that it's basically finished, but it's the, I don't know, preview access. So you pay extra. You're a good piggy. You pay extra, and then you get to play it like few days before everybody else. But anyways, the team is aware and investigating reports from those who are unable to launch or early access for Doom Dark Ages on Steam after purchasing the premium edition. So yeah, so you pay extra money to get the premium edition, play a few days in advance, and then it doesn't even work. Like, okay, I think they fixed it already, but it's just like people who do this, who pay for these premium editions, they really shouldn't have be allowed to use money. They shouldn't have human rights. Basically, that's my take on it. Um, and there's also this. So confirmed now. Doom Dark Ages physical disc requires full download online. So you have buy physical disc for PlayStation 5, but there's nothing on the disc basically. I guess it's some download program. You have to download the game still from the internet. This is absolute retardation, and if if gamers in the aggregate had any principles, they would boycott this, or like not even boycott, just don't touch the game simply out of disgust because the idea is so disgusting. But alas, that's not the case, and plenty of pay consumers are happy to consume. And here is Doom the Dark Ages pricing versus Valve developer suggested pricing. So basically, current price is like, here's US dollar is the same, but okay, here is the uh, Chinese yuan is like 349, but it's the current price, and Valve is like 238, so it's like over 100 yuan cheaper, like that. Valve suggested, well, here you can see the percentages. I guess if it's green, it would be cheaper if Valve got their wish, and here is more expensive. So okay, actually, I know. No, no, this is something else because here is still like the lowest one here is Swiss francs. So 79.90 is current price, and Valve suggested for it 77.99. So it's almost the same. So I don't know, but it's like, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but like basically, Valve says that your game is too expensive, but there's like, shut up, we want our money, we want our nickel and dimes. I will just wait a year or two for a discount. There's no reason to play for this price today unless you're a streamer. Exactly, and I'm a streamer. I still don't want to play it because plenty of game players or streamers will be streaming it anyways, who are much bigger than me. So why would I stream it if there's like somebody who has 10,000 followers compared to me? Like they probably would rather watch it on that channel. So it's not even makes sense for me either. But yeah, it's you don't have to buy these games immediately. You don't know if it's any good. Basically, I'm not expecting it to be good. Like I still haven't played the Doom remake or whatever from 2016. That seems, as far as I know, that's a good game, but I still haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, Doom Eternal doesn't sound so good to me, and I don't expect Dark Ages to be either. Like when I first heard that they're making Doom the Dark Ages, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds cool," but no, not. I don't have much confidence in the current team behind the game that they're gonna like. It's probably not garbage, but doesn't seem that good either to me. Anyways, Nintendo has showed how the mouse control functionality of the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2. Joy-Con 2 can be used as a mouse on a home screen similar to traditional mouse controls on a computer. So yay! Rejoice! Nintendo has invented the mouse or reinvented the wheel. Yay! They should actually make the next console should be Wii, like WIIL or something. So it would be like the Wii and the wheel, and use a mouse to control everything. Like, okay, this is a mouse that doesn't need a table, but whatever. And there's this Nintendo reserves the right to brick your console following unauthorized use in bid for to prevent piracy. Game chat footage recorded to ensure safe and family-friendly online environment. Sounds like bullshit. It says, especially if it's unauthorized use. I wonder, like, how do they define it? Like, it sounds like you buy a guitar, and then the company that made the guitar says that it can be only used to play country and western music, and then you use it to play rock and roll. It's like, oh no, then they come and break your guitar because it's like, or like you can say it's not applicable, like the comparison here. Like, okay, let's say you use the guitar to uh, commit a crime. You bash somebody over the head with the guitar, but okay, then maybe the police should confiscate your guitar, but it's not the company that should have. They shouldn't do anything with it because it's your possession. But of course, when it comes to not simply games, but any kind of like IT stuff, you don't really own anything. You're just renting it or whatever. So yeah, all this fucking industry should collapse. Like even Photoshop and programs like that, you don't own it. Like I remember back in the day, you actually could buy it and you could own it, but now you just have to rent it and pay it $200 a year or however much that is, which is insane. Yeah, Nintendo delenda est. Yeah, this is the same news. Nintendo can brick your console if they think you emulate pirated games or you gave it unauthorized use. And it's also like if they think maybe you don't even do that, but for some reason they get the impression and then they brick your console. I wonder if you're gonna get stories like that. Or like, somebody's just gonna, I don't know, mess around with the console. Like, I don't know, they make like a custom game with make a custom game with their own computer, and then they somehow try to import it to the Switch to see if it works on the Switch, and then they say like, hey, this is unauthorized, this is not official Nintendo product, you're clearly a pirate, even though you made the game, nobody else even knows it exists, and then they break your console. I wonder if something like that's gonna happen. Or if people are smart, they will just stay away from Switch 2, but hey, we know better, right? As if people were smart. And here is another controversy, quote unquote. Nintendo caught using AI assets on Mario Kart World Treehouse livestream. Seriously, on an $80 game, but Nintendo denied the use of generative AI in Mario Kart Worlds. Although, like, so is it like this picture supposedly? But it's just some, yeah, AI detection. So uh, software that claims that it's made by AI. So I'm gonna say that it's fairly, it's not clear. Like I'm gonna lean on that. It's probably not even AI generated, and whatever is just some crappy Golden Gate Bridge image. So like this controversy, unless there's more information, that's not a relevant issue to me really. But certainly the other Nintendo issues are. And then Onimusha 2 remaster will have censored costumes. Like, just this is the original from 2002, and this is the current. And it's like, why? Like, why even make the game if you have to censor it like that? It's like I can only think of malice as reason for doing something like this. Like it's not even stupidity or ignorance, it's just malice because they hate, like, oh, this is an attractive female form, or we have to try to ruin it somehow. Those chads, they see something they like, that's the end of the world. just insane. And also Oblivion got censored. I'm not quite sure what, because it doesn't show here. So how it got censored, but like if this is true and the game, the remake, Oblivion remake got censored, that's bad because I'm against censorship. Generally speaking, censorship for children's products is different thing. Like I do think some stuff for kids should be censored, but generally speaking, censorship, the very act of censorship offends me. Like even though sometimes I might even prefer the look of the censored product to the other one, but I still, if it's censored, it offends me, and I don't want to give my money to it. And Democrats do something good for once. So Democrats block bill to ban Goblin Slayer and other anime in Texas. So yeah, there was some bill that would. Yeah, here it said we first reported on Texas SB number 20, a Republican-backed bill which would criminalize owning or watching several popular anime. Now that bill has been stalled due to Democrat opposition in the Texas House. So yeah, I guess it's like lewd stuff with anime characters that could be interpreted to be underage or something. It's really vague, and it would not only like ban it but criminalize it. So it's completely insane. But hey, at least now it's blocked by Democrats. So yeah, like you can see the pendulum swinging. Like some some commentators are saying that we're moving away from woke to more middle or more the conservative side, but that's not really like there's still plenty of wokeness out there. It's maybe not always so blatant as it used to be, but it's still out there. But now it's more like the Republicans are going full retard, and like I quoted Cenk Uyghur several times today as a positive example, and stuff like this. So it's just like whoever has the power has to be evil and or retarded. That's basically how it goes. And then the other side is like, wait a minute, we I don't have power. I don't have to be evil and or retarded anymore. So yeah, the same story about the anti-anime bill. And here is educate. So Minecraft, because it has some funny comment here when you launch the game. Always there's like probably hundreds of different comments. So educate your friends on anti-racism. Yeah, who the fuck writes these? And Notch, the guy who made Minecraft but no longer owns it, says people who don't realize they're being evil. Yeah, this is evil. He's right about that. Or like, wait, educate your friends on anti-racism. Like, okay, I can start educating my friends that anti-racism is basically just racism against um white people or who are perceived as white. Like but let's you have a European guy and a Japanese guy, then the European is considered white. But if you have like a Japanese guy and a Ugandan guy, then the Japanese is considered more whiter, so then you can be racist against them. That's basically, I'm educating you on that. So anti-racism is a subtle form of Marxist racism against anybody who is perceived to be whiter than the other person. And here's another retarded take like this. I still don't hate the Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I don't hate the game, but I hate most of the people promoting it because I haven't played it and I'll get around to it in a few years probably. Anyways, so the game's brilliant parry system solves a classic JRPG problem. I can win any match up with on skill alone, so being underleveled is just a state of mind. This is like the most retarded thing I've read in a while. It's like, first of all, it's not a problem with RPGs that you're underleveled because you can fix that by leveling up, by grinding. At least if it's a regular RPG where you are allowed to do that. Because like maybe this it just gives me the impression that whoever wrote this doesn't isn't actually a gamer who plays games, because back in the day not every game had, because nowadays almost every game has some sort of progression system, but back in the day it was only for RPGs basically. And Super Mario doesn't have progression, you don't get levels or anything like that. And you games like that always solve the problem, if you consider it a problem to have level caps and stuff. Because you had to get good to complete the game, or fucking Mega Man, at least you could, there's some progression, you can get weapons from the other robots and stuff from the bosses. But it's like, so that's a retarded thing, because it's a problem that was solved already like in the 70s when the first video games arrived, that if you have skill, you don't that's how you can usually beat enemies. But I don't consider also, like, I don't like this sort of solution either, because I sort of like in JRPGs or RPGs that there are levels, and sometimes you might be under leveled, so you have to level up, or get more spells or better weapons or whatever. And because the idea of using these quick time events, uh, like you can apparently use in this game to in turn-based battles, I don't like the idea. Like, it's possible that they do it very well, and I would be I would become a fan of the system. But at least, like, for now, like, I prefer my RPGs to be turn-based, which basically means that if during a battle you can leave the computer on for a couple of hours and nothing will happen, and the game will wait until you choose to do the next action. But like in an action game, you would be dead in a minute. So that's the difference. But yeah, this is just so retarded the way they put it. And then there's this news that, so supposedly, first, there's this Robin Hood from 2010. I think I've seen the movie, but I really don't remember anything about it. Or maybe I haven't and I'm confusing it with something else. But anyway, so there was this text, and it was supposedly censored when I first um, like released it on Amazon. So it says, in times of tyranny and injustice, when law oppresses the people, the outlaw takes his place in history. So this was censored. Like, how fucking Orwellian this is. Like, this is very mild and basic, and no, would anybody even like associate this with any kind of, like, real politically, like, oh yeah, now I'm being inspired to fight against tyranny in my country or something. It's like, but now it's actually they're highlighting it, the Streisand effect and stuff. So retarded. Like, yeah, Amazon Delenda S2. Right, that sounds like a good idea. It's fucking ridiculous. And the last story of the day of the week is the new Airbender ditching old voice actors for racially accurate VAs. So yeah, there's gonna make some new, like, new version or an addendum to the last Avatar, the last Airbender stuff. And the casting director said that apparently the actors have to match the ethnicity, race and ethnicity of the characters. But this is like my initial reaction, and I haven't even seen any Avatar Last Airbender stuff, but I know something about it. So, like, okay, so is the voice actor an airbender? I think that's more relevant, because this is so ridiculous, like, especially like for voice actors, because the voice actor can look like anything. If it's like, Bart Simpson is a boy, but he's been acted by a woman for, however, 30, 40 years, however, how long The Simpsons has been going on. And, nobody had an issue with it, of course. And, like, okay, if I was making a, animation, and I had a Japanese character, like, sure, I might think that probably a Japanese actor would be able to play it better than a non-Japanese actor, but that's not like because of some racial purity stuff. It's more like, maybe they understand it better, but maybe they just suck as an actor for that, or at least for that character. So it's not like necessarily better, but it's like I might be predisposed to think that way. But anyways, like what I really hate about this, because this isn't the first time I've heard about this, that they want that voice, especially voice actors, that it has to match with the race. Like, okay, what if you have fantasy? Who's gonna play an elf or a dwarf or a freaking orc or a lizard man? Like, who's gonna play the? I guess you, because like if you're gonna go this route, I want it to be to apply evenly to everything. So if you are gonna have a fucking elven character in your fucking anime or any kind of animation, you better have an elf as an actor. Or like, if you're gonna have a god or a demon speak in your cartoon, you better have an actual god or an actual demon speak the words. Otherwise, I will get triggered. I'm gonna cancel you. Yeah, I should start my movement of like, canceling people who mis mythologize characters in animation, because it's like it's so arbitrary. And of course, these characters, they are not. I presume they are hiring Asian actors, but I don't think they're Asian, because I don't think this world that this story takes on is place on is even Earth. So basically, they're not, there's no Asia probably, and I don't think there are any other races there except like different kinds of Asians of the whatever nations they are, fire and water nations and whatever stuff. Like this is so ridiculous because it doesn't even match actual, like it made any semblance of sense that this policy could make is if it's actually a historical or takes place in the real world, because then you can find actually matching actors. But okay, but what if you have a cartoon that takes place in ancient Sumeria or something? Like, is it good enough if you hire an Iraqi actor for it? I would say no, that they're not Sumerian. That's not good enough for me. At least you have to do a DNA test to truly prove that they descended from, the Sumerians somehow, and not some other. What if they have Persian blood or something instead of pure Sumerian blood? Like, this is absolutely retarded. And like, stuff like this, at least I want consistency. You better have your fucking elves and dwarves played by elves and dwarves, right? Otherwise, I'm gonna get really pissed. I'm already pissed, but I'm gonna get more pissed. Like, at least address the points. Like, why is that fine? If that's fine, you have pixies in your cartoon. Have a pixie actor, okay? But yeah, that's I could rant about this because it makes me so mad. It's so stupid and offensive at the same time. I could rant about this for so long, but maybe I should quit. But that's the news for today. Yeah, so I guess everybody will keep their eyes on the new pope and see which way he's heading, and also I'm very intrigued with the rumors regarding U.S. new stance on Israel. Like if their stance is really changing, I really doubt it, but I hope so. But with that, I'm Adventure Argonaut, and I thank you for watching. Bye bye.